What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're continuing our work here on the Legend car, getting everything put back together. Obviously the car's still bare right now. The body's just sitting over here in the corner waiting to get repaired, but that'll be coming up here shortly. But this week we're not going to focus on the body just yet. We're going to be focusing primarily on the interior of the car, mostly focusing around the seat, its mounts, and our harness. Because when I started doing all my research to get into these cars, there definitely wasn't a lot of info about how people mount the seats and how people get their harnesses correctly fitted and whatnot. And I think we have a pretty good setup right here, and our harness is fitted correctly in the car. But I really want to talk about the seat and the belts this week because it's such a huge piece to the puzzle of keeping you safe inside the car that you really need to make sure that you pay attention to how everything's done and make sure you do it the best way you possibly can. Now, when it comes to getting seats for the car, I definitely recommend you getting something that you feel comfortable in and make sure that you can afford to do it. I will always recommend that you get a full containment seat, which will always have these headrests right here, some shoulder restraints, and then all of your rib support and leg support. In fact, many tracks with these actually require you to run a full containment seat, so if you run one without the shoulder and headrest, you'll likely not be able to race at that track for the weekend. But it's different from track to track, so you'll just have to look at their local rules and figure out whether or not you can run the seat. Now, I know I said you should fit comfortably, but you should also be able to fit pretty snugly in the seat. Ours right here hugs our hips pretty well, and our ribs are pretty much right up against the rib supports, which may or may not be a good thing depending on who you talk to, but it's definitely going to keep you from sliding around in the seat and jumping around and possibly breaking a rib that way, because with less of an air gap, there's less movement that'll be allowed. So you should definitely look for something that'll fit you pretty snug. Obviously, these are pretty close to my shoulders right here as well. And our headrest with our helmet on, there's a little amount of movement, but it's not enough to really rattle your cage whenever you wreck. There's a handful of manufacturers out there that build seats like this that are full containment. So I suggest you go around to different dealers, different motorsport shops, and just sit in a couple that you may or may not want to look at just to see which ones you feel most comfortable in. I opted for a Butler built here, which fits pretty comfortably for me. There's less layback on it, and I definitely fit pretty okay in it. But there's other brands like Kirky, Ultra Shield, and LaJoie's company. The higher in quality you want to go, the more expensive it will be, but many of these companies also build out custom fitted seats so that you can make sure you get the right one every time. This is definitely one thing I would particularly pay close attention to and make sure you get the best thing you can afford, because safety gear is definitely one of those things you do not want to skimp out on. Speaking of safety gear, it's important that you get a harness that is capable of meeting all of the requirements in the safety part of the rulebook for Legend cars. I don't believe it's a requirement to have an SFI rated belt, but it is something that we've always gotten just because every other series that runs at these tracks will require an SFI belt. So it's never a bad idea to have an SFI rated belt for these cars. We've opted for the 2-inch harness as well so that our Hans can fit comfortably inside of the harness and it not be a big deal. This year we spent a little bit more getting ourselves a Camlock harness because we've ran the Latch and Link for years now and just wanted to try out a new style and see how much better it is. We have both of our lap bars pull towards the center to tighten because there's not always someone there to help us tighten ourselves in the car while we're at the track. So this belt is definitely ergonomic and something that we'll be able to get ourselves in and out of the car by ourselves. Now, like I said, there are many different brands of harnesses available. This particular one that came with the car is a Crow safety gear belt. It does have the 2-inch straps for your shoulder belts, but everything else on the harness is all 3-inch aside from the anti-submarine strap. We've always ran a 5-point in our seats because we don't feel the need to run a 6-point since we don't have any points yet to mount a 6-point, but we fit so tightly in our seat that there's not really a reason that we can see just yet to pull out a 6-point for these cars. But there's so many different brands and so many different price points that it's okay for you to spend a little bit of time and figure out which harness is going to be best for you. Now, the harness that we bought for the car today is by no means the cheapest, but it is one that we feel comfortable with and a brand that we've always run in the past, so we decided to continue running that particular brand. We have no affiliation with them, it's just something that we have as a personal preference. But if you want to find something cheaper, there's a ton of other brands out there, and anything with an SFI tag is pretty much going to pass your safety inspection and be safe enough for you to use inside the car. But everything in the safety gear world always comes down to personal preference, so you can definitely save a bit of money for yourself by going with a different brand and get the same result. But before we can go in and strap in our new harness for the year, we got to remove our old one. So right now we've already got our shoulder straps pulled out. Those are pretty simple. Those just wrap around the bar and wrap into a buckle. And then we just got to remove our seat from the car to give us a little more clearance to get to those lap belts and try and pull out those bolts. The seat comes out pretty easy. The only thing that really gets in the way is the steering column, but these seats are a lot smaller than they appear, so it's really not that bad. Now here's the interior of the car without the seat. You can see we've got these little tabs that pop up from the cross member right here in our cockpit. And then we have a couple of holes here on the back of our interior sheet metal, which are actually 2 tabs welded on here to the back of the ladder chassis so that we have a fixed spot to bolt in our car to the back of the roll cage. Now, as far as I understand, the original concept of these cars was to have the car basically sit against the floor in here in between these 2 tabs, have a bolt on either side to go through the seat and tighten down to make sure that there's no lateral movement side to side, and then have the back of the seat rest up against the back of the interior sheet metal and drill a hole through them and bolt the seat that way. Now obviously many things on the chassis have changed since then. For example, all these chassis are now built out as big boys, which means the ladder rack right here on the back side is now just welded up to this structural bar right here. But before, the original chassis had about 3.5–4 inches forward and had a separate bar right here that the chassis ladder would be welded to. Now that didn't necessarily change how people mount the seat, but it does give them a little more layback to give you a little bit of a better angle to sit in the car with your feet and give you a little more angle on your knees. Now on both of the cars we owned, the way we mounted it has stayed primarily the same. Against their seat back here, we fabricated a little piece of sheet metal that we put 2 90-degree bends or close to it as we could inside of it, cut out a little piece in the center since there is a little bit of a bow in the seat, bolted this straight to the seat so that there's no movement on it, and then we drilled out these holes in the sheet metal that correspond with the holes on the back of the interior sheet metal so that we can bolt that straight through the chassis and not have to worry about the seat moving that way. There's many guys out there that will still bolt the seat directly to the chassis, which is not a problem, but because our seat has this big old tube right in the middle of the back, it was hard for us to get against there, and the way that the holes on the chassis lined up, it fell right in those tubes, and I didn't necessarily feel like drilling through them to create a bolt straight through, so we have a little bit of an offset using this steel plate right here. Now, as I had mentioned before, when we were first looking to get our seat mounted into the original car we owned, there was not a whole lot of info out there or any videos on how to properly mount it or anything like that. We tried using all of the documentation we could from the seat builder's website, but there's nothing specific on Legend cars. So we did end up going through and fabricating our own little seat bar right here. We just used 1-inch square tubing. I think it's 11 gauge, maybe 14 gauge, but we also have 1/8-inch steel plate right here, just welded onto the sides. All of the seat builders that I've ever seen, their website has a very similar seat bar just like this, specifically built out for their seats, but they charge a lot more than it would cost for me to make it since I already had a welder and everything else. If you don't have a welder or don't feel comfortable welding, obviously you can skip that part and go through the seat builder, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just know that you'll be spending a little bit more than you probably want to on something like this, but this is how we have it mounted on the bottom of the seat. We have it bolted through the seat bottom right there. Those 2 tabs on the side have little holes in them, and those holes in the tabs correspond with the holes in our tabs on the chassis. One thing I urge you to make sure you try to do is make sure you have a piece of steel similar in length to the distance between these 2 tabs, because the last thing you want to do is have something improper made and try and make it work with bolting on a bunch of spacers. Typically this particular tab right here can flex a little bit, so it's not the end of the world if it's only like 1/4 of an inch off, but anything more than that, you might need some spacers or try and make something else work. Now, when it comes to figuring out where to mount your seat in this car, you're gonna have to pay close attention to your belts here. You're gonna want these belts to be either level or have a 20-degree or less angle going down towards the bar. It's important to have a little bit of that down pressure because it keeps you planted in the seat, but it's not forcing you down into the bottom of the seat so hard that you're submarining. And you don't want your harness to be lower than where the bar is because you don't want the belt to allow you to move upward in the seat in the event of a rollover. So when we came up with how we wanted to mount this seat in the car, we played around quite a bit with how high it sits in the car. And luckily for us, when the seat is in the car, the belts are shooting right about the middle of this window right here, and my Hans comes up to right where the middle of the window is. So that gives us a pretty level strap going all the way back to that bar and gives us the proper angle. It's likely that you'll spend a lot of time putting your seat in, taking it out, putting it in, taking it out, just to make sure you get all of your measurements right, make sure it's tall enough, make sure there's enough layback. Mounting the seat can be quite a tedious and lengthy process, but it's important you get everything right because this is your biggest piece of safety gear that'll protect you on the track. Now, before we actually started fitting our new harness into the car here, we actually compared both of our lap belts and our anti-submarine strap with our old setup on the old harness, and we checked this just to make sure that our lengths on both sides were going to be pretty much similar to what they were before. Obviously, we have a pull-up adjuster now, so we can adjust our lap belts a little bit easier than before. And our anti-submarine strap actually has an inline adjuster as well, so this one we actually had to make it the shortest it possibly could with the adjuster on it, so that when we're in the seat we can pull it up and make it a little bit tighter, just to make sure we actually have the clearance. And then with our shoulder harness, we usually have a spot that we try and get our adjuster on the back of the sheet metal, just so that we know it'll be relatively close whenever we go to try it on, which will be just after we mount our seat.
Love me, well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away, but I know you did wrong. It hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away.
And now that we got the seat bolted back into the car, we're going to go ahead and test out this new harness to see if we can fit it okay, or if we need to make a bunch of adjustments to make it fit a little bit better. And just like that, we got our seat bolted back into the car with all new bolts, the brand new harness strapped in, ready to go. And we even test fitted it with all the clothes we were wearing. Luckily, this jacket right here is about the same thickness of our race suit, so we know that we're gonna fit pretty well in it. Now, it did take us a little bit of time to figure out exactly how long we needed these straps to be. For our right side one, we kind of went roughly with how much length was on our original harness right here on the ground. We just matched up our latch with the eyelet on the right side and matched that with this one. Of course, we have our pull-up strap here, so we made it a little bit tighter to give us a little bit more consistent feeling. And then our anti-sub strap also has an inline adjuster, so we are able to pull that and make it a little bit tighter if we need to. And then all of these straps, right now these buckles end just below our Hans device, so we are good with where that ends. And then our left side here is also a pull-up adjuster, so that's something that we adjust every single time we get in the seat and make sure it's nice and tight. And then back here, we have our harness looped around this middle of the ground bar right here, even with this left side bar. Some people will go all the way down to that bottom one. Some people may use this middle one right here just below the top bar, but it's really all personal preference. Some people even cut a hole right here in the sheet metal so that they can wrap their belts through there. It all depends on if you meet your angle or not. Luckily, with this setup, we meet our angle pretty well, and they go through the center of our seat pass-through on our seat and are perfectly level with the edge of our Hans, so we don't have to worry about changing the angle of the seat at all this time. Mounting your seat and installing your harness for the first time can be quite a lengthy process because there's so much involved to make sure you do it right the first time. You don't want to go back later and fix any mistakes that could have happened during your build out process, so it's important to make sure that your seat is always at the right layback. It's important to make sure that the mount is secure. Make sure it's a solid piece, make sure that everything is good to go for the seat, to make sure that in the event of a crash, your seat is protecting you during that event, and make sure that you aren't gonna get injured from it. Your seat and harness here are the biggest things keeping you safe inside the car on track, aside from that of your helmet, your race suit, and your Hans device. But these are your biggest things that are fixed to the car that will keep you safe and make sure that you don't get injured if you don't need to. I hope that this video helps you guys out when it comes to mounting your seat properly and making sure that you get the right harness for you. Now, like I said earlier, there's plenty of manufacturers for the seats and for the harnesses, so it's definitely something that you can do your own research on and make sure you get the right ones for you. Expensive is not always better in these cases. Just kind of be prepared with what you're getting into. There's nothing wrong with getting a pre-built seat, but make sure that you test fit it before you buy it. That's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.
Said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile.